Well, this week, we're going to keep this segment short. But there's an elephant in the room. And if we go back to episode, I'm not sure what episode it is, but I had some words on, and you had some words on how people conduct themselves in relationships on social media. And I think we both may have alluded to, it's kind of controlling for you to see your child's mother and your romantic partner at a concert and for you to get on Twitter to publicly shame her for it. Like, we kind of were like...
Especially if you just seen her. Because we know you did. Whether it been on FaceTime when she said bye to the baby or whether y'all was in person. We know you just seen her. I know the dynamic. Right.
She's out, and I think that was her. Was it her birthday she was out there for?
It was a girl. It was like a girl's trip.
Right? And it's like,
and then we also found out she was recording a song with him, because that happened. That video
happened. They did.
It was that weekend. Yeah. There's no way.
So, I think we both said some version of something's wrong here. And a lot of people online, both men and women, we can't really say men, all manner of people were basically saying, y'all bitches don't want to take accountability. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was a lot of tradition.
It started a lot of, women versus men, gender role conversation. So if you don't know, if you haven't gathered who we're talking about by now, we're talking about Keke Palmer and her treacherous baby daddy, Darius Dalton.
Right.
Who, let me just say this. I am such a huge fan of what Keke Palmer stands for. Me and her are literally the same age. She, I want to say, is 30 or 31.
Yes.
And I've been watching her be the same age as me, doing all these, having such great representation of what young Black success should look like. And for all these years, she has never been in no issues. There has never been any problems. Even when there have been like rumors about like her sexuality and things of that nature, she's so relatable that all you do is say, oh, well, she's a regular person. You know what I'm saying? So there's never been anything negative until she decides to let a nigga baby daddy her. And I am upset about this because, it just upsets me, that whole thing that happened at Usher's concert. Us had seen the concert already, we said then, we're like, this is a part of his show, and he does it even more if it's a celebrity. Like, there have been other examples.
Issa Rae, who's also married, her husband said nothing.
Right. And it's like, obviously, you have some women, because it's like, on the other side of this too, if Usher was to, like, if it were me, I would be so starstruck. I would be sitting there like this. Like, I wouldn't be able to dance. I wouldn't be able to do nothing but stand there.
Yeah.
So it's like you have some women who, because you have some women who just, not because we're even thinking about it, it just wouldn't be our reaction to even like to hug, to do anything, because I would just be starstruck.
But Keke Palmer is a star.
She's a star, and they're friends.
And
you
they're
can
friends.
tell.
And also, she is an entertainer. She understood the moment, and she served and she gave. And I think everybody who was there could feel that energy of like, this is beautiful, right?
Right.
And so her baby daddy definitely turned it into something it was not. Now, we have discussed, and this was the nuance in this conversation. If you and your partner have agreed to something privately, I'm actually okay with that.
It's facts.
I'm really okay with, Chelsea has agreed that she's not gonna blah, 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 blah. I have agreed I'm not gonna blah, 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 blah. These are just things we do. Now, one thing I'm gonna say about us, and I'm gonna keep it pushing, but one thing I'm gonna say about us is that we both have invisible lines that we have drawn for ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that's because we're mature individuals.
Right.
There are certain things that you never told me to do. I never told you to do. We just did them. I'm going to give a quick example for myself. It took me 3 years to follow some of your friends on social media, to get their phone numbers. To this day, there's still certain people in our, community. I don't have their personal phone number. If I want to talk to them, I speak through you. And all of these friends are the female ones. You never asked me to do that. You never said anything about like, Joy, I want you. No.
Right.
This is just me knowing. Look, I'm almost 40. I just understand how things go.
Right.
So I said, let me keep myself out of that. So us making that agreement as a couple of just certain things, that is different than me getting on a public platform when you're a star and an entertainer to embarrass you.
Right.
And that's what I took it as. I thought he was trying to embarrass her. Now, I've spoken to some RNs. You know what I'm saying, RNs. Y'all can figure out what I mean. I've spoken to some RNs and we all agree, even if you don't like what your baby mama wearing, you keep it player. And you wait until...
It should have just been a text. Like,
it could have been a text message. It should have been a private conversation.
Exactly.
So let's push forward.
Yes.
So the other night, Chelsea's in Vegas. I'm at home. And you send me a Shade Room post, which basically the first Shade Room post that was, and I wonder if
her BD is a psycho.
no, for real.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm wondering, Chelsea, if, and we talk about these platforms and how they're complicit.
Yes, the Shade Room is trash.
I'm wondering if they chose to post this first or not. I don't know, but what they chose to post first was that she was going for full custody, full physical and legal custody of her son. You sent me that and I was surprised by it. Here's why I was surprised. After they broke up or after that incident happened, she continued to be seen with him.
Right.
She continued to be in a relationship with him. And I remember saying to you, like, we don't know what's going on with these celebrities. She could be telling us,
Yeah, the thing was, she never told us, though. And
she never told us. And people would ask her, and she'd be like, stay out my business.
And that's why I said, when I said that, we were talking about, I wasn't sharing anything about it because she never said nothing. And she never said she was leaving him. She never said none of that. Like, she didn't say anything. She said, I'm a mother. That's it. She said, I'm a mother. Exactly.
And also then when blogs were reporting that he said they'd broken up and he then came on and Twitter was like, I never spoke to anybody. I never said anything. Yeah. So long story short, when you sent me the thing that said that she was going for full custody, I was like, I felt sad about it, of course, but I was like, more so like, I didn't expect this because they looked like they was fine. Okay, so then the thing too that you sent me was she was filing for a restraining order against him due to physical abuse. Now, there's some nuance here that I do want to talk about, but let me just lay out what happened. So Shade Room posts that, and then I receive I may not have. Sorry. Okay. Hollywood Unlocked posted, which I don't know that I agree that they should have done this because I think that it's traumatic. But Hollywood Unlocked basically posted screenshots of her. She has security cameras in her home, and these security cameras showed him choking her, him being physically abusive to her, even back to 2022. Some of the security footage was. And then Radar Online, another blog, posted her actual deposition from her restraining order. And basically what she describes is the fact that he was like a narcissistic abuser. So he would like love bomb her and tell her he loves her so much and like, you know, everything would be fine. And then he would get offended and then he would be cold to her. And then something would happen. Like she showed him a picture of her in a bikini and then he started beating her up. So she details that this was the pattern. He apologizes, I love you, I love you, I love you, for a few weeks, everything is fine. And then she offends him in some kind of way, and then he chokes her, he throws her on the bed, like, just, this is what she was going through. And given the timestamps on those pictures, some of this was happening while she was pregnant with the child. I mean, her son is only 8 months old. If it was happening in 2022, she was pregnant most of 2022. Right. So this, right? So I, first of all, really feel, and I shall thank you for saying that in the comments, I feel there's a nuance here and there's a paradox. While I really felt very bad that her photos, like, who wants to see photos of themselves being choked and beat up, put on a public platform? However, but it was almost necessary, because when they said that she was going for custody, of course, everybody jumps to, oh, she's being manipulative. She just want to keep the son from him. Now that the pictures have been released, his people have been quiet, because, you know, his brother was over there talking on Twitter. Everybody was saying everything. Now everybody is quiet. Why? Because the proof is out there. And so Keke Palmer may never see this or hear this podcast, but I want to say that when I was around 30 is when my life started to change greatly. And I do not have experience with physical abuse, thankfully, but I do have experience with mental and emotional and narcissistic abuse. And the one thing I can say is the hardest part of all of this, she's already conquered. She was granted full custody of her son. So what that means now is he's going to have a very hard road, especially with the restraining order, to visitation. She can even probably get, what do you call that? Supervised visitation, if she's concerned about how he's going to be with the son. She's a millionaire, so we know she's going to have security and things of that nature. I was so happy for her that there was security footage in her home, but I said to you, I'm like, she's a celebrity. Of course she needs to have security footage in her home. My sincere prayer for her is that in the coming weeks, months, years, outside of her being the Keke Palmer we all know and loves, she takes the necessary time to heal from this very public, embarrassing, terrible thing. The embarrassment is not the worst part of it. The worst part is what she just suffered over the past 2 years. Right. But you take that and you compound it with the public part of this, and it's 10 times worse, because everybody has an opinion about what you should have done. I see people online saying she should have left. Why did she get pregnant for him?
I have something to say about that.
So she may never see this or hear this, but my prayer and hope for her is that she takes the time she needs to truly heal. Because let me tell you something, after she does that healing, we thought she was amazing back then. This is going to push her into to even better. She can process the pain into power. And I'm not saying that, oh, she had to go through this. No. No one has to go through abuse and domestic violence and terrible traumatic shit in order to be an amazing person. But when you use what has happened to you to propel yourself forward, it's even greater than what you had before. So that's all I have to say is I'm praying for her. And anybody on the internet talking about, so why did she get pregnant for him? Kick rocks.
Yeah, I had to block somebody because I have dealt with physical abuse, and I don't, as a woman, and this is why I asked the guy, I asked him, I said that I was arguing back and forth. I was like, have you ever been a physically abused woman in a relationship with a man who's somebody that you love? And obviously the answer is no. As a man, you've never been a physically abused woman,
right?
But it's very easy for people to say things like, oh, why would she get pregnant for him then? She should have left and all of these things. But, we have a comment here that says so many women suffer in silence from domestic violence because when you mix love and the true feel, like the feelings of love with the feeling of fear and being in a space where you love someone, so you don't want to do anything to harm them, but you're being harmed and you know that you're being harmed, but then it's being followed up with grand gestures and things that, it's a very, very scary place to be in. So it's a touchy subject. And in general, I don't stand for any type of abuse, physical, emotional, mental, anything. I don't stand for any of that. And I don't stand for it, whether it's coming from a man or a woman. Okay. Period. And at the end of the day, I hope the same thing for her, because like I said in the beginning of this, she's been in front of our faces for 30 years. We've never seen her.
No mess.
I've
no
never
drama.
even seen somebody. They're saying this on the internet. They're like, we ain't never seen Keke Palmer mama. Y'all know something is going on when she's online talking. So I wish her nothing but the best. I actually wrote her in her DM the other day.
you love doing that.
When celebrities have their DMs, like I used to write Kobe's wife all the time.
Yeah.
Like when they have them open, I know that they see them. Like I know they see them. So I wrote her a very long, encouraging message because, again, we're the same age. And I've watched her grow up, and she's such an inspiration to me. Her child is beautiful. The life that she's created is amazing and beautiful. And, this is just the thing that it's a hurdle. She's over it. And now it's time for her to
it's time
excel,
for her to heal
past
and excel.
the hill and continue to just be the amazing person that she is. So,
yeah, it's unfortunate that, to me, it's unfortunate that as a Black woman, this is like what's going on with her, right? Like, I know that everybody thinks that, it's 2023, like Black people do not have to worry about representation, but we do. And I think that Keke Palmer, for a lot of us, was a woman a Black woman who represented a certain kind of excellence, especially as a young Black woman. And, when you look at, you're like, who do the young girls have to look up to today, right? Like, who is there, right? Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have these, like, outside of Marseille Martin's about to be 19 now. So she's even leaving that young woman stage. There's very few just like young 15, 17, 18-year-old girls. And Keke, we've been watching her since she was 10 years old. And at different stages of her life, she's been that representation. So to see her at 30 going through this, you're just like, oh my God, like it's hard. But the one thing I will say is, Essence, whoever's running the Essence
and BET, it's a couple.
Essence, BET,
I was like, y'all better come
up
through. When I tell y'all I had chills.
I read it. I was like, and they called her full name and everything. I was like, y'all going in.
Yeah.
Go look at them posts, y'all.
But and that's what I'm saying. The impact that she's had.
The cultural impact is crazy.
It's crazy. You have whole networks coming behind you, whole organizations coming behind you in support of to be honest, I've never seen that. Not for a young Black woman.
I haven't seen it either.
I haven't seen
but
that.
But also, I'm not going to bring up Jada Pinkett, but no. The only reason I want to bring up Jada Pinkett is because, what's the girl name who was friends with Kylie?
Oh.
Lauren Woods.
Jordan Woods.
She
did that for her.
When everybody was talking mess about Jordan Woods and the Kardashians was beating up on her head, Jada in the Red Table Talk said, "You're not gonna do this." No. I know. We're not gonna stay too much on this. But all I'm just gonna say is,
there's a big difference between Jordan Woods and Keke Palmer.
There's a very big difference. But what I'm saying is,
I get it. There's
a trend now of we have enough platform. We have enough platforms and celebrities and people that you're not going to trash on our woman. Same with Jeezy and Nia Long. Yeah. There's enough, what I'm saying? What happened to Nia Long in the NBA? It was completely wrong. Yeah. But we have people step up.
Speaking of that.
Yeah.
Jeezy and Nia Long.
It was amazing.
Yeah, can we move on real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Keke, we love you.
Yeah,
we moving
Keke,
on. Go ahead, honey.
We love you so much. So I saw a very interesting perspective on the Jeezy and Nia Long interview.
Okay.
Very, very interesting.
Y'all, she hasn't shared this with me privately, so I'm. We going on a wild ride today. Go ahead.
I'm actually gonna try to pull it up because I want to get it word for word, because it's important. But give the people.
Okay, y'all.
Yeah.
So while she's looking for that, I'm excited to hear what she got to say, y'all. This is dun dun dun. Okay. Yes, I shall. Nia Long did have the same backing from the community. All right, so Nia Long sat down in a conversation with Jeezy on YouTube. Now, this was done by Jeezy's people. So it was executive produced by Jeezy, and it was like his team that did it. And they sat down in a candid conversation about love, about growing older, healing, mental health. And I think that honestly, Nia Long was an incredible interviewer. I had some opinions about it myself, but as you guys know, Jeezy is going through a divorce from his wife, Jeannie Mai. Is that her name? Jeannie? Is it Jeannie Mai? And they have a child. They have a 1-year-old daughter. Did you find it?
Yes.
You gonna read it?
Yes.
Okay, y'all. Let's strap your seatbelts, y'all.
Okay. So this perspective is very interesting to me, and I would love for us to talk
discuss
about
it.
this.
All right.
So a woman shares a post of Jeezy, because y'all know he also just came out with an album. Okay. So this is all in line with each other. That little interview with Nia was cute, but this MF said at a black man's lowest, they realize they need a sister. Boy, F you and that whack album. Same ish OJ pulled when he wanted all them sisters in the jury when he got in trouble. This MF was eating cucumber salad and said, "Oh, we can't say that." But who put him on? We not buying into this watered down trap music. Take that album back to your aunt house right next to the yams. Gucci is our hero, not you. Okay. So let me just say this, because when I saw this, obviously the wording of it was very interesting, but the commentary, the first two lines.
What the comment saying?
A whole bunch of a lot of people agreeing with it. So I think there's something that happens, and I love. I advocate for love, but I think something does happen to, black women when we see our black men, with women of other races. Personally, for me, it's never like it really doesn't bother me, but I am in the sentiment of you raised by a black woman, why wouldn't you want? Anyways, so in that interview, we find out he didn't have a good relationship with his mom. Okay, so makes sense to me, but more so, I think a lot of times black women it feels like an afterthought when you make a comment and say you go through things like this and you realize you need a strong black woman. That's crazy to me. It's crazy.
I understand.
And here we are with our arms wide open. It's crazy.
No, it's
crazy
like when we was watching the movie last night and it was like how the people was helping.
Yeah.
And then when y'all, I'm not gonna go into the movie, but you know exactly what I'm talking about, honey. Let me tell you what I got from it when I watched it.
Uh-huh.
First of all, it feels to me like Jeezy has come into a new place of self-discovery and self-understanding and self-awareness.
Agreed.
Which, for somebody like him who comes from the hood and the streets and so on and so forth, that is it's a rocky road to go. It reminds me of the transformation of Jay-Z. Now, Jay-Z did a lot of his transformation behind closed doors. Mm-hmm. We found out about his private business through the elevator situation with Solange and Beyonce. Once the cat was out of the bag, I think that was his wake-up call of, oh, I need to actually like do the work. I need to do like what, you know, you get it.
Right.
I feel like Jeezy is inviting us into a process that's not done yet.
I agree with that.
When you first start going to therapy, for those who have been to therapy or are thinking about going to therapy, let me just give you a sneak peek into what happens. The first 5 sessions are messy and honestly all over the place. Your therapist is getting a feel for who you are. You know, what's wrong? Oh, yeah, your therapist is getting a feel for who you are. Your therapist is trying to understand what you've been through, and you're pretty much diarrhea of the mouth. You're talking about all the things you've gone through. You're talking about your trauma. And as you're processing your trauma, you're starting to understand a little bit better, like what's going on.
Right.
Then your therapist has to now take you from the diarrhea of the mouth part to the what? Application of what's going to actually make your life better and stop the trends that got you to this place right here. Yes. I think where Jeezy is at is the realizations have been made.
Right.
Oh my God, this is how I was living. These are the things I was doing. This is what, and now the application needs to start. So he sits down with Nia Long, his black sister, who you can tell she's done this work.
Yeah. Fact.
She has done this work.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the way she was sitting there and talking to him, she's done a lot of the work, and she was asking him questions that, to me, I was like, Nia, what I came away with, this woman is, she's an incredible woman, because I feel like if I was Jeannie Mai, I would have done nothing but respected what she was saying. Because when he would say something, she would ask him like, well, have you done that work with her? Like, she basically was, I don't know if you watched the whole interview, but she was basically like, in certain times when he would say certain things, she would be like, well, she's like, let's talk about your marriage though. Like, have you guys gone to therapy together? Like, she was not just being, oh, he's my friend, and no, she was challenging him and asking
holding him accountable.
Have you done some of this work that maybe you're asking her to do? Have you done it? Let me tell you what hurt me about the interview and why I resonate with what your person here said. There was a moment where she cried twice in her interview. The first time she cried in the interview, it was when she said she feels like right now in her life she has to be super strong, and she does not want to be. She's raising 2 sons. She's in the middle of a separation, and it's a lot going on for her. And she started crying, obviously not sobbing, but she started crying. And I wanted him to console her a little bit more and pour life into her a little bit more. And maybe he did. I could tell that it was highly edited. Maybe he did take a moment and pause on everything that was going on with him. But there were moments where I wanted him to pour a little bit more into her. But I will say he ended the interview by saying to her, like, you are literally like the character of a black woman that we want. Like, you're a grown-ass woman, you handle your business. Like he was saying, he was like, and I wanted to check on you personally. I just felt like the conversation was a lot of him talking about his process without him actually allowing her to kind of speak her piece. She did speak her piece, because that's what a black woman is going to do. Like, you're not going to have me up here, I'm not going to speak my piece. But to that person's point, it's like, you come to the black woman to do your dumping, but do you restore? And I was reading a study last week that said that marriage is actually more beneficial to men than it is to women. And it got me to thinking. I was like, oh my God. Like I started like thinking, oh God. I started thinking. But what I'm saying is, I think this was a good start for Jeezy. But what I want black men to take away from it, and black masculine parties, is we have to pour into our women as much as we dump on them, period. If
Mic
you
drop.
if you can, you know what I'm saying? If
Facts.
you can dump all of your trauma, all the things you've gone to on your black sister, then you can also stick up for her. You can also come to her aid. You can also console her when she's crying. You can also be the man who's going to be accountable to what he himself is doing wrong.
Right.
I'm not saying that he purposely wasn't like, I'm just saying it was highly.
I think he was being himself.
He was
and a lot, what you're saying is true. And it's just a fact. It doesn't even need any explanation. He was being himself. I thought it was a great interview, a great conversation. I did see somebody else say something similar about how they felt that, you know, Jeezy was kind of overpowering the conversation. But I mean, if we can ask any woman, any black woman in the world, any woman in general, honestly, when they have conversations with men, that's how most of us feel when we have conversations with men. So that's the thing, you know, it's a thing with, you know, men versus it's just a thing. So that doesn't change because you're rich, you're a celebrity. Like, no, all these things are things that we all kind of go through. So that's not a surprise to me, but I did think it was great. I think they both look great.
I love her.
Yeah, I have a lot to say that I won't say just, you know, because it's probably more harmful than it is helpful, you know, in regards to just Jeezy's situation. But him and his wife, they created a beautiful child together.
She's so cute.
I've always liked Jeannie Mae, however you say her last name, as a personality. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have anything bad to say about it. I don't have a dog in a fight in that regard. But you know what people do is they make their life decisions and what they want to do public. So when you do that, you know, and it doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not, in general.
Yep.
When you do that, you then invite these, you know, opinions and you know, to the conversation. So I think there's only a few examples that we have of people who they always control, you know, their narrative and what's being put out there, so nothing can be spin. I feel like, you know who I'm talking about.
Of course.
And in that regard, I think we all just need to continue to take pieces from their playbook, because it's like it just you know we all make our decisions and our choices, but
100%.
a lot of those decisions and choices, like what Aishelle said, is honestly, you know, how I feel, and I will just leave it at that. But she said, it doesn't bother me. However, when you say, I realize that I need someone who can understand my experience, when we've been saying that the whole time. Like, literally, that's all we're saying, and that's all black women ever say. And then things like this happen, and we're being used as y'all crutches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
And I get those optics. I just think that what I would like to see happen is another interview a year from now, because he will be in a different place in his journey.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have processed, the Holy Spirit is coming. When you have processed and healed your trauma, you're able to be a better space holder for the other people in your life. Okay. When you are a walking wound, when you are someone who is very visibly, and people can feel it in your vibration that you are unhealed, that is something that literally, like, everyone can feel it. And so what ends up happening is that you can't hold space. It's like, you know how they say, like, your ego walks in the room, like you can't even get your head in the door.
Yeah.
That's how unhealed trauma is. The way you respond to people, the way you talk to people, everything about you is a big wound. And you can't hold space for others and where they're at, because you yourself are still trying to do the work to heal. And that's okay, because every vibration is welcome here. And especially in marriage, you and I understand this. There were times in our marriage where I was a big walking wound, and it was hard for me to hold space for you in certain places. But you was holding enough space for yourself that you didn't necessarily need that. But now, 6 years later, we're in a much better space where I am more healed. So I can actually hold space for my wife when you're not in a place to hold space for yourself. And that's what this is about. in a year, I would like to see them have this conversation again. And I feel like he would be able to hold more space for her because he's holding more space for himself. Right. He was saying he's just getting to the place of healing his inner child, forgiving himself for the things that happened with his mother. I mean, there was a lot of trauma dumping that he did. When I was watching that, I was like, my God, this man has been through a lot of things.
This is also why it's important for honestly, black women, just watch the interview if you haven't, because that's another takeaway. You know, I see so many women who you don't get a chance to know the person's traumas and the things that they've been through and the things that make them be the way that they are. And you, a year later, are going through all this hell and you're trying to figure out why. Well, this is because these are conversations that need to be had before you get into these relationships with people. Like, you should know that, is what I'm trying to say. Like, and a lot of black men specifically haven't addressed those things. They're just walking through life.
Yeah,
you know,
I could tell from the way he was talking. I was like, oh, so this is the first time you're really even getting a chance to look at the set of cards that you were dealt, the things that that happened, the things you brought on yourself. Like, there were so many things that I was just like, oh, so you ain't really addressed none of this yet. Right. But he's just getting to that place.
Which I love, listen, it's never too late. But I would love to start to see us as a people starting to be more proactive in these life situations
instead of
than reactive.
Yes, come on.
We're built on, like, getting it out the mud, figuring it out. Something happens,
get that dirt off your shoulder.
You get it. But there's so many opportunities for us to be proactive across, and I'm talking about in all aspects of life, from simple things like health. I was literally just about to say, like, health and health insurance, to
life insurance.
You get what I'm saying? To just other preventative care.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
There's so many ways that we can be proactive so that we don't find ourselves on the back end of a situation pulling our hair out because we're reacting to something.
Yeah.
I would love to see that more from our people.
Yeah.
You know, I would.
And I think that there's definitely a time when you should expose the public to your journey. Like, I think that, like, and I could tell this listening to Kendrick Lamar's last album. I think we talked about this. I forgot what the name of the album is. Y'all put it in the comments. But I was listening to his last album, and it's like a therapy session. The whole album is him really sharing a lot of personal trauma, from SA to child rape to all type of situations that he went through. And I listened to it and I was like, we needed maybe 10 more therapy sessions before you discuss this, because that's what's got you saying the F word on this song. But do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He has that song where he says the F word, y'all, ends with agates. And I remember just being like, maybe had you had another year of understanding, you probably wouldn't have come up on here on this record and said that. Do you get what I mean?
Facts.
But because you're exposing us to your process, it's not ready yet. And I just remember when I was first getting out of my first marriage and, in that divorce phase, and I was like, oh, I need to start speaking up for myself more. It was so messy for like 2 years. I had no idea how to really like, you know what I'm saying? There's a way to speak up for yourself without being rude, without being nasty. I had no idea what that was like. So imagine me getting on Facebook and trying to teach people like, yes, this is how you speak up for yourself. You're not ready yet.
Right.
There's still a journey. And so I think for Jeezy, I'm happy because I think that black men got a preview of what it's like to start that work, that process. But I think those of us who are a little further along on our mental health emotional health, holistic health journey, could tell by that interview, like, oh, like he still has a little ways to go. And that's okay.
It is okay.
And I think, you know, and honestly, to segue into this being our 25th episode, I think sometimes it's all right to just show where you're at in the process, even if it's not fully finished. I'm the type of person who's like, you don't show it until it's ready.
Yeah.
But you may never show it because you may never be ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you, Aishel. Yeah, it's Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. If you listen to that album, you're like, oh, this is a therapy session, babe. Like, you're telling us about things that,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? And then, but wait. And then what happens is, you make not a mistake, but then you say the F word on a song, and I'm like, oh, you didn't have enough conversations.
Yeah.
You know? And even like,
well, that's the thing. When you're the process is called healing for a reason.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Quit shaking my camera. You got it. You got me wobbling. It's called healing for a reason. And when you're healing, anything that's produced during the healing process is not going to be finished.
Healing,
not meaning that it can't be shared,
right?
But it's
more
not,
solid.
It's exactly. It's
well,
not
healing
finished.
is not a destination; it's a journey,
right?
And this is why I really look forward to Nia and Jeezy having a conversation. Having a conversation in a year from now when he's a little bit more healed. Mm-hmm. Also, not gonna lie, they definitely did look like a cute couple.
Sasha said the same thing. Sasha's like, they might as well just go ahead and,
you know what I'm saying?
They looked great.
They looked great together.
Yeah.
So
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about this week before we jump into soft spaces? Which really most of this episode was supposed to be a soft spaces, but we got to talking, and that's what happens. It's been glorious.
So get our bottle of champagne ready.
Glorious purpose.
We didn't talk about Loki.
Yeah, Loki was so good.
Oh my gosh. We're going to see Marvels tonight.
We're going to see the Marvels tonight. What's up to the comments? James, I see you. What's good, homie? Yeah.
She did say she liked double. Yeah. I mean, listen. Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. That'll be cute. Yeah.
I think they would be a great couple. I think we want to see it. They got to get together for the culture and get married.
Yeah.
But either way, that's hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to soft spaces, which this is going to be a different little soft spaces because it's all going to be about our thoughts and feelings and perceptions over being at 25 episodes. I'm kind of emotional.
You gonna cry?
I'm not gonna cry. I cried a lot. I've cried. You know what? In 25 episodes, I've cried a lot. I've cried about 4 times on this show, which I think is a lot for 25 episodes.
I mean, honey, I don't want to say it like that, but like, there are some people who are, just very in tune with the crying side of them. Crying is a release. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
I be trying to force myself. I watch sad movies sometimes so I can cry because I don't cry at all, ever. And when I cry, I feel better.
It's a release.
I know. So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I feel like I've cried 4 times on this show. One of the times I cried, I'm not going to go over all the times I cried, but I think every single time I did feel better after. This podcast has become a safe space for me to discuss what I'm going through.
Your mom.
Y'all, my mom gonna put in the comments. Y'all, my mom gonna put in the comments. You're very emotional like your dad.
That's cute.
My dad definitely is the crier. And this is why that gender stuff, people got to get that out of their mind. Me and my dad will cry. We literally cry. I feel like I bought him a Father's Day gift. This is when we were staying with them. And we both cried. And you and my mom was looking at us like,
we were sitting in the kitchen. I remember.
We bought him a TV.
Yeah.
We bought him a TV for Father's Day. And I was like, I don't think it's big enough, Dad. I want to get you a bigger TV. And he was like, don't take it back. And we both started crying.
Aww.
Either way, you guys, yeah. So I get that from my dad.
No,
but
you definitely do because, yeah.
I feel like you saw him cry as many times as you saw me cry when we were living there.
But it when I see it though, it makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is literally joy. Like for real. I agree with mom, but you know, it's just funny that she said it.
It is funny. But I've cried on this podcast a lot, and I'm not gonna cry today, but I cry, you cry, we cried
Together. That's funny.
Yes, together. The one thing I'm gonna say is that it grinds my gears when things are not together or like good enough for public presentation.
What you think is good.
What I think is good enough for public presentation. And when you are doing anything, you have to fail a few times publicly, maybe, and not even fail. But just not be at the standard you want to be at. And in producing this podcast, I mean, even if I look at the like clips from the beginning of when we started, they're not good. And they're not good, you know, to the standard that I want it to be.
They look good to me.
Everything we put out looks good to me. It looks good to you, honey, but I know the standard of where we could be at.
I get it.
So it's the hardest part of producing this podcast has been being consistent even when it's not at the standard that I want it to be at or where I know we will grow to.
Right.
Ultimately, I know that the conversations we're having are needed. Yeah. I know that the conversations we're having are good for people. I know that it's great content. And that's what holds us up. Mm-hmm. Like, I do believe 100% that the cream always rises to the top. And I think that we have great nuanced conversations that people can relate to. And because of that, that's what keeps me going. Every Saturday and Sunday when I do my editing, I listen back to the podcast and I go, oh my God, I would be in my car as a podcast listener. I'm like, I would be in my car really loving this podcast, right? And shout out to The Read, you know, shout out to Don't Call Me White Girl, you know, shout out to one of my favorite podcasts. The name is slipping my mind, but I'm a podcast listener, and there are a lot of Black podcasts that have, inspired me. Still Processing by the New York Times. I really feel like what we're doing here is going to get bigger and better over time, but it's not going to get bigger and better over time if you don't start. Right. And for me, what has held me back from, I think, producing at a high level is like, hey, guess what? You got to start and keep going. And even if it looks terrible, even if it looks mediocre, whatever, over time it's going to get better. And there's people who will stay with you through your growing. And then once everybody gets on, it's like, I know that, like, there's going to be fans and people we have who've been with us since these times when we got 5 people on this live, which is a lot for us. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. You know, we're supposed to be streaming on Twitch. We couldn't get the Twitch together. Me and you damn near had an argument before we were setting up because you didn't like the lighting and like, we go through these things, and I think people fail to realize the level of intention. I'm the audio and the video for this podcast. I also edit the podcast, but guess what? It hasn't been late 1 week. I've figured out a workflow for myself, and I'm just proud of myself that I was able to continue doing it. 25 episodes isn't a lot.
You said you weren't gonna cry. It's okay. 25 episodes is a lot, though. It's half a year. And when I think about, like, I was thinking about when you came to me and said, honey, I want to start my podcast. And I've seen you literally have this idea and execute it. And it's given me just, so much, there's so much confidence that I lacked being in front of the camera. And you was just like, well, honey, I want you to be the co-host, and we recording it every Saturday or, every once a week. And I was just like, well, shit, I mean, I just got to get in front of the camera. And I want you to know that 25 episodes is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal. For us, with all the stuff that we have going on in life and everything that we're doing, for us to be able to do this every single week, and I'm seeing you just operate in this amazing creative space where, yes, you do have a workflow. Yes, you do. And it's beautiful. And you're getting it done. Like, it is a lot. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm happy that you asked me to be a part of it, because I was actually surprised, to be honest. I was like, you want to talk to little old me, But
yeah, of course I want to talk to you.
No,
I just, the emotion is from the fact that, let me acknowledge what you just said. This podcast is not what it is without you. You're a gem. You're so wise. And, I love talking to you, and you bring out the best in me. So I'm like, if I'm going to do a podcast talking, I need to do it when I'm talking to my wife, because I think if there are any levels of genius in me, they come out when I'm talking to you. Also, you're an extremely sharp and quick-witted and articulate and eloquent person. You know how to describe and explain things in a really awesome way. And there are so many clips that I share of you saying things, and I'm like, man, and people will be responding like, yo, your wife be talking that shit. And you do. So this podcast is not what it is without you. So I'm happy that you took a chance to be on camera with me, because I understand that it's different for you than it is with me. Y'all, my hair is looking a hot mess under this hat, but I can just put a cap on and put a little, cardigan on. As a masculine person, it's just very different. And for you, the standard that they're judging women by, feminine people by, out there, and you get up here and you get on here with me, whether you want to or not. And, there are Saturdays when we go to record, and I know that you're just like, ugh, you're like, I want to go get my hair done. I want to do this, but you still show up, and I just appreciate it, because I know I'm the only person you would do that for. And I don't want to
say that again.
You know what I mean? And I don't want to pull the spouse card, but it's true. There's no one else you would get up here. You're not feeling 100% as far as how you look, but you still get up here with me, and I really appreciate that. Yeah. The upset, it's I don't want you guys to take the crying as upsetness. The crying really is, I spent a lot of years having these elaborate and amazing ideas in my mind, and wanting to see them come forth, but not having the money or the resources or the team or the people to do them. And I got to a place when I met Chelsea, and when, your love gave me the ability to see that I don't need people. We all need people, but I'm saying you have to just start. And the people will show up to help. The right ones will show up to help when it's necessary. You can start a process. I just want to inspire anybody listening to this. You can start a process with almost nothing.
Yeah.
And make it something.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast, is make it something, right? And I definitely do feel, Aisha saying you're surrounded by love and a solid support system, and I agree with that. I do feel loved and supported, and I do feel community. And, I got a message in my inbox a couple months ago, even when we, this is a while ago, when we first started, from some random woman in Los Angeles. And she was like, I listen to your podcast and it inspires me. Look, I look at what our weekly listens are, you guys. We're in the 50 or 60 weekly listens to this podcast, which for me, it blows my mind that there's 60 people who want to listen to this podcast. Yeah. And I'm so thankful for it, and everybody that's on this live stream.
Jahira told me she'd be listening to the podcast. I was like, you be listening to the podcast? She was like, yeah, y'all be talking about some really good stuff. I realized that, yeah, honey, I'm very proud of you. This is when
Thank
she
you.
said that she was doing my hair. She brought up an episode, and she knew exactly what we were talking about, and I was like, you be listening to the podcast? She was like, well, it started out with your clips, but then I seen the link and I went and started listening to episodes.
That makes me happy.
It made me very happy. I was like, wow.
I mean, I think, I definitely want to, like, the vision moving forward is definitely, like, I want to talk about different topics and things like that. And, like, the reality is we are in a very clickbait, social media environment. And when you have a podcast that's ours that doesn't thrive off of bullshit, but actually thrives off of, like, real, meaningful, healing conversation, sometimes when I'm posting the clips, no matter how awesome it is, we don't get the clicks and the views, because Instagram and Facebook and all of these social medias really do thrive on, like, people talking shit about other people. Yeah. So the minute I mention a celebrity, or the minute you, like, our viral clip over 25 episodes was me talking about Taylor Swift and Beyonce. Right. And it's unfortunate, because I think that our podcast has so many, like, I was happy for the virality of that clip, but I wasn't, like, we talk about other things that are amazing. So moving forward in the podcast, I wrote down, like, the other day I went up to the board. We have a little whiteboard, and I wrote down, like, 10 topics that I want us to talk about, because there's so much more to life than the internet, right?
But I also realized, too, I don't mean to cut you off, but everything else that we're doing, music, social media, travel influence, business, those things, we continue to grow those things, and those followers also, because the type of content that we have, it is for people that want to actually intellectually process what they're hearing. You know what I'm saying? And I know there's a couple examples of people who, without their following, their podcast wouldn't be what it is. So I think that it'll be a little different for us, because we'll come into the next phase of our professional, social presence lives with the podcast already, but it's just going to continue to elevate,
Yes. Ishel's calling it cross-pollination. Yeah. Yeah, and that's correct. James is saying you just have to stay consistent and not worry about likes and views will come. Yeah, and I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
You just have, and you used to tell me, like, when we first started the podcast, I'd be looking at the analytics, and you'd be like, stop looking at it. And it's true. Like, you have to just keep pushing forward, and keep looking at the strategy. Like, obviously, my computer ain't set up where I can, not even a computer, but I think it's our internet connection. Us going live on 2 platforms ain't going to work. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, I need to, we need to figure something else out, right? Which is fine. I'm okay with learning from the mistakes. It took us 3 different times. We went live 3 different times today to get it, but it's okay. And I was talking to myself, like, while we were setting up today and we were having those difficulties, I was talking to myself, and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Right. And you were like, it's okay. You were reinforcing it. So I said all that to say, you guys, like, not to say that I didn't think I would get to 25 episodes, or that we would get to 25 episodes, just the consistency it takes to keep pushing forward, even when you're not getting the response you want. Not for nothing, you got to have some big basketballs. What's that viral sound that's going on? Like, you keep posting viral content. What keep,
Oh no, it was the girl who that's actually, like, it's somebody we know, like, but she was not even that. It's the point of view that people are saying, but all it says, what gives you the confidence? And she's like, delusion. That's who is it's I can't think of, it's the white girl that was singing. I showed you a clip of her singing. She was on Terrell's show too. No,
not
her
Grace.
name, not Grace. It's
I know exactly who you're talking about,
and I can't think of her name, but that's who it
delusion.
Was. Yeah,
delusion.
Yeah, what gives you the confidence? Delusion.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
There is a little bit of, like, somebody said to me one time, I know exactly who it is. You know who it is too, but I'm not gonna say their name on my podcast. But somebody was like, yeah, you always go on your Facebook and you say, like, oh, I have an opinion about this. I'm gonna share it at 11 a.m. tomorrow. And she was like, you always say that, like, as if you have all these. Girl, yes, I do have people who are waiting to hear how I feel about something. This is I'm not even going to whisper it, because I'm not even going to whisper who it was, but you know who it was. And this person was like, you always say that, like, as if you, and I caught the shade in it, like, but
Was I there for this?
You were not there.
See, God,
Yeah.
God always be doing.
And so
he
for
does
real,
that for us.
For real though, it's like I think Lil Nas X said this too. Like, if you was to stop your podcast because you're like, oh, I'm only getting 2 views right now, it doesn't make any sense. You have to build yourself up to getting the thousands of views. And you know, I tell myself this about my music as well. Like, where I'm literally at the beginning stages of doing Boy Ivy music, and you know, my first single just came out, right? And I look at other people and I look how many like streams they have and all these different things. But what I'm trying to do is just process that competition into me beating myself. If we get more streams and we get more than the last time, then we're doing something right. We just have to keep doing better and better and better and better until a point where we're probably going to plateau, and then something, you know, an otherworldly, godly thing would have to happen for us to go to the next level. It's like people like SZA. It's like she's at the plateau, but the plateau is like 1 billion streams, right? You're right. Yeah. So what I'm saying is I've just had to be patient with myself and say, no matter how old I am at the beginning of my not the beginning of my public career, because we know from the music industry and things like that, I've had different pockets of a public career, but this is my first go at like doing content on the internet and being consistent and all these different things. And listen, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes intention, but the most important thing that I've realized is it takes consistency.
Yeah, the consistency part it's inspired me. You know, I'm really inspired to. I'm like, if I can be consistent and put this into my schedule, which all I'm doing is showing up and using my brain.
You're the talent, and you're so good at it.
I see the result of consistency here, so I'm really, you know, I have it on my plans going into the new year. With my YouTube channel, because I
believe in you, and in whatever way I can support you in that, please let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of these things where I just gotta like put some fire up under my ass and just do it. Like, I think that is that, because I've already taught myself how to edit. Like, you've been through that process with me, and you saw that, and you know, I've done that. That's honestly was the hardest part, the most frustrating part. So, and I got all the equipment, I get all the content. I'm giving myself a little grace because the last 60 days have been
It's been a lot going on. Yeah.
It's been very crazy. So, you know, in that played a huge, I would say about 75% role in the change of the plan. But my plan for the next, you know, like 30 days is to just get all that content out, because I have more things coming up where I'm going to be getting content from. I'm just be sitting on all this content, which doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I'm inspired. I am. So to be honest, I said I was going to start to line it up with like Saturdays, because we already are doing some on Saturdays. You know, so letting, like, while you're sitting here editing, I'm sitting over, you know, I'm sitting there editing.
That's what I was saying. Let me support you in that way where we can both be doing it together.
Yeah. That's what I think is, you know, going to be, because especially when I can get enough rest and I can get enough sleep. Yeah, you know, it can really be that. So I just have to hold myself accountable to it. I knocked myself out of I would say life knocked me out of mine, because I had a weekly,
you had something going on,
you know, consistency going on, but like with YouTube, there's no way. Like, I have to be at least 1 week at a time consistent, you know, in general. Otherwise, the subscribers you have are, you know, kind of dead, you know.
Got it.
So you got to be consistent. You got to engage with them. And, you know, and I have a couple of people that I look up to on there who started out as, they're still small content creators, but this has really, really inspired me. I said all that to say it's not about me and my YouTube, but it's inspired me. It's inspired me to, you know, even like you just holding everybody on the team accountable. You know, there was a time where, you know, in the beginning, he was like, I can't be the only one taking it serious. You know, I'm like, I couldn't even say that. I'm like, okay.
And you know, I don't think Monty's on the stream, but being family, we talked about this, being family and working together is a lot. And we've had some tough moments with the podcast where after, I turned the recording off, we definitely get into it. We're not toxic. So there's no yelling and hollering, but it's like some tough words like, hey y'all, like, what are we going to do? And I feel like, that's even a testament to where I've grown to. Cause in my previous life, I would just let it be raggedy and then blow up at everybody after 6 months. And that it's like, I wasn't even at that place with this process. I'm like, from the beginning, I'm like, y'all, we need to take this serious. We need to, so I don't know, man, 25 episodes.
We're supposed to be
Here, take it.
I bought this.
Y'all, we have champagne.
Show the people.
I'm showing the people. We got champagne.
I bought us a bottle. It's Prosecco, La Marca. So that, don't you shake it.
I'm not shaking it.
I was about to say.
Y'all, we've got, for the people, just so you know, my beautiful wife bought champagne. I don't really drink, but I will have some champagne today because I am celebrating a win, which is getting to 25 episodes. And the next time we celebrate, it'll be 52 episodes. Makes us a year. So do you want to go ahead and open this? Because if I open it, I'm going to take your eye out.
Yeah, get the two little.
We got glasses.
Right there. Yes.
Is this from our wedding, bride?
Yes.
So y'all, this is from our wedding. What is it? Where's the camera? This is
Bride to be.
This is Bride Squad. There it is. Bride Squad.
Yeah.
And Final Fling Before the Ring. What kind of who bought these?
It was for my bachelorette party.
It says Final Fling Before the Ring. So we're gonna have some champagne. Thank you guys for coming to Live 25. Nike, where you at? You've been on the couch. We're gonna definitely, you guys, do another camera for Nike. It's gonna be called the Nike Cam, so y'all can see him. We're gonna figure out how to get on Twitch as well, because we really want to engage on Twitch.
I shall put a comment about something.
I looked up Restream. I'm gonna have a conversation. Let's get on the phone. And you know what? Shout out to Ishel because she got on the phone with me last week to explain Twitch and live streaming to me, and it was a wonderful conversation, and I really appreciate you and thank you for that. But y'all, right now we're about to have some champagne. All right. So, honey, do you want to toast?
Yes. So, honey, I'm going to toast to elevate the conversation in episode 25. This has been...
There we go.
Oh, yeah, let me get it.
Get it in the camera. There we go. Okay.
This has been an amazing journey so far. I love the conversation that we have together. I love the experience of being a podcast co-host. I'm excited for all of the things that are to come. I'm honored to be a part of this, and I'm thankful that you wanted me to be a part. And I'm excited to continue to just elevate the conversation.
Ooh, okay. Let me return your toast and say I want to toast to 25 episodes of talking to my best friend and enjoying your company and presence and being able to share my heart with the people, because when I talk to you, I'm at my best. Because at your best, you are love. You're a positive, motivating force within my life. No, I love you so much. And cheers to 25 episodes. Cheers, you guys. Thank you for raising your glass.
Cheers.
It's been a wild ride. I say that it's a wild ride every episode, but this episode...
Yeah, I'm sitting in the puddle of champagne.
Well, you guys, we hope you've enjoyed the conversation. We've enjoyed talking to you. We've also enjoyed doing this podcast for 25 episodes. And I'm looking forward to more life, more love, more episodes, more content, and we're going to figure out how to go live on Twitch. We appreciate all of you. We appreciate your time. We love you. Thank you for sticking with us even through so many technical difficulties. Today was it's the live stream. It's nothing else. Yeah. But either way, thank you. We appreciate you. And thank you to our listeners, those who have been audio listeners from the beginning. We really appreciate it. And, we're it's only going to get better from here. So y'all have a wonderful Saturday. We're going to go see the Marvels tonight.
Yeah, that's my gift to Joy for episode 25.
Yeah, I'm getting a little gift for episode 25.
Yeah.
And I just definitely want to say that I feel good. You feel good, honey? I knew that I would now. I feel good. I knew that I would now. So good. So good. I got you. All right. Y'all have a great weekend, a great day, a great hour. And remember that your family and friends on Elevate the Conversation love you so much. We love y'all, and we thank you for your support. We thank you for your everything, just your support, your community, your love, all of it. Honey, do you have anything to say before we leave?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. This is truly, I that's all I have to say. It's so cool. We're going to keep talking about real things, you know, keep bringing that elevated level of conversation. We're going to keep being consistent, and I'm excited to have you all on this journey with us. And yeah, make sure y'all follow us on Instagram. And
yep, you see our Instagrams down there. And this is Elevate the Conversation. Peace.
Peace, love, and hair grease.
Bye, y'all.